Get in on the action this season with Underdog's Pick'em game. Select higher or lower between 2 and 8 players and compete for up to 325 times your entry. Use code DIRECTOR when signing up to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. Yo, to Bolt fam, it's the Director. Chargers fans, I think one of the funnest things of the offseason did transpire this last week. It was the schedule release videos. It's become an event in the NFL, and the Chargers have kind of been considered the best team in the NFL in terms of their social media team and what they produce and bring out every season. And this year did not disappoint. The Chargers would return after, what was it, The Sims last year, the epic anime video they did a couple years ago. Now they will follow up this year with the Minecraft edition video. Of course, I would say in respect of Minecraft having its movie release, etc., etc. Lots of Minecraft fans out there. Me, myself, not the biggest Minecraft guy. I've played it. My kids are huge fans. They explained to me some of the intricacies of the references in this video. But that's probably the biggest thing I'm here for today. You guys have been asking all over my reaction video to better explain the Easter eggs found throughout this entire thing, man. Dude, I gotta tell you, when I went into this looking for all the Easter eggs, I did not know how long it was gonna take me. There are a ton of references in this video regarding slams to enemy teams that we're going up against, pop culture references to sports, etc., etc. Tons and tons of information that we're gonna drop on you guys in this video today. So we're gonna explain the Chargers schedule release video and go over all the Easter eggs, the juicy Easter eggs, all over this. I don't know how many there are in this 4-minute video. It's absolutely insane. So before we do get started, shout out to the sponsor, Underdog. Use code DIRECTOR to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Newcomers, take advantage of this free pick on stream. It's a great way to support my platform while having some fun along the way. Before we do kick off, hit us up with a like and sub. If you do enjoy this Chargers content, the small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into it. Lights, camera, chicken jockey, action.
Who's got it better than us?
Into the end zone, Charger fans are witnesses to history.
The Chargers schedule release video explained. First off, make sure you guys are following the Chargers on social media. They are, without a doubt, one of the most talented social media teams in the game. And they did an awesome job once again. See, I'm going to tell you guys, it's not like this for every team. I went and watched a couple other team schedule release videos, including the Raiders. Man, it looks like a freaking high school video production, effort out there. The Chargers and its fans very lucky to get the quality of content that we do with the awesome team that they have there with the Los Angeles Chargers. So let's go ahead. We're gonna skip through this. And again, I have a huge list of references here. I'm going to be stopping and explaining some of the things that you're seeing on screen here, which again, how many people went into making this video? They said something like 500 in-game hours of creating stuff and all that kind of. It's absolutely insane. So the first reference we're going to get here, very simple. You got the chicken jockey on the right. I don't know why kids go crazy for it, man. Their cinemas, being destroyed over the hype of the chicken jockey, but there he is. And then behind Justin Herbert is going to be, it looks like a player from each opponent that we have this year. You got Trevor Lawrence on the right, CJ Stroud, Jalen Hurts, etc., etc. So some of the players to expect the Chargers to be facing off against this season. And of course, we are going to have the audio off. We want to make sure that we don't get slapped by YouTube on this one. All right, here we go. The first one is going to be a reference to the Chargers and Chiefs. First off, you guys will notice on the right side it says Bora Brasil, international game unlocked. I love this with the Chargers. They do it every year. I don't know how they managed to get it in under the gun, under the wire, I should say. But they did get relevant information to us in this video with, I would have to guess, hours beforehand, days beforehand, getting, the information that the Chargers would open up the season versus the Chiefs in Brazil. They included it in their video. Bravo to them. Here they go. So Chargers, nod to you guys. We are going to have our international game. Now, if you blink, you would have missed it here. The Chargers, Chiefs. The Chiefs being the first opponent that we're taking a jab at. Looks like they're going into some kind of chamber to perform some kind of ritual. But if you look in the corner, right there in the middle, you're going to notice a referee part of this ritual, which is going to be referenced a little bit later again in this video. But the refs, definitely a big part in a lot of people's minds to the success of the Chiefs in recent seasons. Let's see what they do over here. They're going to round up in a circle. You're going to see a couple of different players here. You got Patrick Mahomes. There's Coach here on the right side. But on the right, in the middle right part there, you're going to see, at first I thought it was a guy with a mustache. No, it's a wolf. To reference of that crazy Chiefs fan that got put away for robbing banks, etc., etc. There he is, part of this ritual for the Kansas City Chiefs to basically sell their soul to the devil to have a good season. In this case, maybe the devil being in association with the referee. They're all going to drop these discs. And my kids explained it. This is a part of a thing that you do in the game to open up a gate to get to the Ender Dragon. It's like one of the bosses of Minecraft. They can explain it better than I can. But they're going to open up this gate, and we're going to move in. And you guys can kind of see it, too, in that last couple of frames there. If you look around, you'll see the referees as part of this ritual, which it tickles me. That's fun. That's fun. And you can see probably a better angle of that wolf costume guy, the crazy Chiefs fan on the left side there. Fun references by the team. Moving into week 2, this is Raiders Monday Night Football, of course, in the middle. We did catch a lot of these. If you guys watched my breakdown, or I should say my reaction, we did catch a good amount of these, but there's so many more that we missed or need a bit further explanation. Now, this family, trust, respect, as of course reference to FTR, which is the Chargers' way of saying hello to the Raiders, especially on stream. There's going to be a reference here to the crazy AFC West division that we have going on right now. It is tough. You got the Chiefs with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. You got the Chargers with Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. You got Sean Payton and the Broncos, and now Bo Nix, and then they cut over to the Raiders. Pure poverty. Pure poverty, Raiders. You see, one thing cool that you guys pointed out, a lot of you guys, shout out to you guys in the comments too, my last video. I asked you guys for help. A lot of these too came from your guys' sharp eye and pointing them out in the comments. That is an ice cube in the front yard. Someone thought it was really random. No, it's because Ice Cube, very famous Raiders fan. Kind of a fun little detail there. And in the front yard, I don't know if we can see it as well in this frame. There's going to be another reference to it later. But you'll notice a box of Pop-Tarts in the front of the house. That is reference to a jab the Chargers have been taking to the Raiders, or should say all their opponents for years. They will give them a weird Pop-Tart flavor and then post it on social media. Davante Adams really took offense to it a couple of years ago, and it's something that you hear a lot from Chargers fans nowadays, calling the Raiders and their fans, their players, the Pop-Tarts, which is pretty fun. Moving now into week 3, it's the Broncos. Here comes Justin Herbert riding in on a golden horse. One of you guys in the comments did point this out, and I'm going to say, I don't know if I quite see the reference, but I do understand the history of the team, of the Chargers having, that charge, that war horse in seasons past, back in, the 70s and so forth. And maybe that is a reference here to that old logo, of the Chargers on that war horse. Very, very cool stuff. And this one's pretty simple to start things off. The Chargers rounding up the ponies to bring them to the stables. It says there at the top right, Orange Crush, you now own 53 donkeys. Of course, it's a reference of 53 men on a roster. The Chargers referring to the Broncos as the donkeys for the longest time, and they're going to bring them into the stables. You guys see some more references a little bit later. This is really fun too. If you notice on the top of the screen, there's a Bronco in the mountains. That's actually a statue that can be found at the Denver International Airport when you first go in. Then you zoom in a little bit closer here, you'll notice what it says on the sign. Sponsored Donkey Ranch Field at Mile High. Again, a jab to the Broncos, who we always call the Donkeys. And we're gonna maybe point it out again a little bit later in the second reference to the Broncos, because you can see a better view of it. But in the back, you guys see that pink building? You see that pink building? That is Casa Bonita in the background. That is from an episode of South Park, of a Mexican restaurant. I think it's a real restaurant in Colorado. That's a deep cut South Park, Colorado Mexican restaurant reference right there for you guys that enjoy the show. Next up, the New York Giants here in week 4. Okay, a lot to unwrap here in the first couple of frames, right? Better talk to Daniel Doan's law firm. I actually did remember this after we were done recording the reaction video. If you guys remember, in one of the first interviews for Malik Neighbors. They asked him about his quarterback, and he referred to him as Janiel Dones. Janiel Dones. I can almost not say it because it doesn't sound right. Janiel Dones as his quarterback. A lot of Chargers fans thought it was funny because he looked really miserable in that interview, thinking that, man, he's got himself not a good situation for his rookie year. The free medium soda reference right next to it is also a reference to something crazy that the Giants did so many years ago. They actually did do this, a free medium soda today only for season ticket holders. It was not very well received. I don't think Giants fans appreciated the minimum effort put into that promo. I think back in 2021. And on the right side, it says, "Welcome to the revolution." Of course, the Chargers inserted the word trash because everybody absolutely hated these retro uniforms that they wore. Was it last year or the year before? Absolutely horrible, crappy jerseys. So welcome to the trash revolution, into reference to those terrible unis. Here comes, I think this is a Chief or Giants fan right here. Giants fan walking around. Over the sink, you're going to see the, I don't know if this was on purpose or if this was just kind of by coincidence. You're going to see a sink in the colors of the New York Giants. The team is sinking. I don't know. Maybe that is something that they did intentional. Above him, you've got the Daniel Jones, or I should say the Tommy DeVito. The Tommy DeVito, Italian pinched fingers reference above the sink. And on the left side, I think they included this just because it's funny, but you're going to see the quote by Jameis Winston. "You can't say the sky's the limit when people are on the moon." That's as to reference of a quote he had on Good Morning Football a few seasons ago. Then we move over. I couldn't quite figure out why there's rats. Oh, look, behind the fridge. This is live, actually. I just noticed this. Behind the fridge is Russell Wilson. That's literally, just as we pause by happenstance, did we find that. That is absolutely hilarious. You go into the bedroom. You're going to notice under the bed is a rat. Obviously in reference to New York City, under a bed in the same colors as the New York Giants. And then finally, the payoff here at the end. You may not rest now. There are monsters nearby. Here comes the ghost of Saquon Barkley, who was going to haunt this team and its fans forever. Now there's a rat in the sink, too, if you guys noticed that on the right side. And look, Russell Wilson is gone. So it's one of those blinked and you would have missed it references there. That's so funny. I'm glad that we caught that here on the actual recording. Next up, week 5, the Commanders. So this one actually, one of you guys kind of pointed it out, and I had to do some research because I wasn't quite sure what you were talking about. It turns out that Jaden Daniels has a mantra, or has a way of training in VR that maybe got a little publicity, and he got poked fun at a little bit for it. So he's going to be loading into his little VR training simulation, and they're going to say, okay, enter the Commanders Stadium. So now they're in the Commanders Stadium. That's what I think's happening right here. The Commanders Stadium, as you can see, as he's looking around, is in complete disarray. Things are on fire. It's grubby and gross everywhere, as to poking fun at their terrible condition or I should say conditions of their stadium. In Washington. Absolutely terrible. And this one actually, again, as soon as you guys explained it, I was like, oh, yeah, I totally remember that. You guys remember when the Eagles played the Washington Commanders a few years ago, and Jalen Hurts was walking into the tunnel, and as he did, the rails collapsed and the fans fell on top of him. That's what they're making fun of right here. The rails collapsing on the quarterback as he's going into the tunnel, and the fans falling on top of him. We also have to believe that the fans are pigs, as homage to the Hogs, I think was the name of the offensive line of Washington so many years back. The O-line called the Hog Line, I think, at one point. So there you have it. The fans falling on the quarterback and the Hog Line out here. So now this one was a little random, and again, I had to do some digging on this one. So first off, this is the Dolphins week 6, okay? There's Dan Marino, which is funny. Dan Marino, whatever, the boat, okay? You're going to see on the deck here a few names that kind of make sense, right? There's Mike McDaniel, there's Dan Marino, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jalen Waddle. Why is Baker Mayfield on the boat? Everybody's asking. The only thing I could kind of find on it was there was an interview with Tyreek Hill a little ways back, and he was asked to label his top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. He listed a bunch of them, but he excluded Tua Tagovailoa and did include Baker Mayfield. So maybe that's why he's being included on the boat, because Tyreek Hill deemed him worthy a top 5 quarterback in football when he didn't even give the same courtesy to Tua, which is kind of funny. There they are in the deck here. There's, okay, on the left side, be aware, be prepared, look out, the good old BBL. On the wall reference. On the right side, you're going to see Justin Herbert's image printed on an elevator. If you guys don't remember this, I think it was last season. The team was at a hotel, and a bunch of players got stuck in the elevator. Bunch of firefighters had to come get him out, and afterwards, Justin Herbert said, you know what, no more elevators. We're taking the stairs from now on. It became a thing in Chargers fans. No elevators is kind of a mantra for them there with Tyreek Hill walking through their little lobby there. And here's Mike McDaniel jumping ship, whatever that may mean. I don't know if they have insider references as to what that means, but this is the reference that we do understand, the Mike McDaniel sprint. Now, when I first watched it, we had the audio off, so I couldn't quite hear what was going on. I was like, who is this guy? What's going on? And then all of a sudden you hear it with the audio. You're like, oh, okay. Maybe we'll, I don't know. We can't, but it's the interview that he does on the field. And he says, thank you very much. And then he like sprints off the field into the tunnel. They're like, go, Mike, go. You guys remember that? There you go. The Mike McDaniel sprints. And if you'll notice too, on the right side there, you'll see that the seats are made of lava. I think that's also to reference of the visitor seats being famously lava hot for fans out in the stands. So there goes Mike McDaniel into the tunnel with them Dolphins. Next up is going to be Week 7, Colts versus the Colts. The Chargers referencing Captain Andrew Luck. That was his nickname, the captain. And funny enough, on social media, actually, can we go find it on the fly here? He went and he referenced to this, and he posted some weird stuff in reference. He's always in character with this Captain Andrew Luck, which I thought was really funny after the fact. Maybe we did miss it. But anyway, I thought it was really funny. Andrew Luck saw it. He thought it was funny. And oh, wait, it is right here. It's right here. It says, dearest mother, word has reached me of the lightning men from the region where angels are plenty. Like, okay, so he saw it. He referenced it. There's Captain Andrew Luck there on social media. Pretty funny stuff. And he's waving in the Grand Prix, of course, Indianapolis being very famous for their race car events. It's going to be referencing to what is a very important race in Indianapolis in the NFL right now, in the quarterbacks race for the Colts. You got Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, and Jason Bean currently. These guys all racing for QB1. And from there, it's pretty self-explanatory. Funny stuff. Anthony Richardson taking the lead. And this reference here where it says, running on empty. Richardson ran out of gas. At first, I thought it was Richardson having kind of a terrible follow-up season, but in reality, it was Anthony Richardson taking himself out of a game last year in which Pat McAfee roasted him on his show. For a lot of people gave Anthony Richardson a lot of flack for that move, but he took himself out of the game. And that's likely the reference there. Next up, we got Vikings Week 8. By the way, for those of you guys wondering, I will be in attendance of this game. I choose one game every year to attend in person. The rest of them we cover here on the channel. But this is the one I was like, man, I got to see this game in person. I'm going to be attending the Vikings game in Week 8. Here's Justin Jefferson blowing the war horn. Beautiful Minecraft craftsmanship. You can see everywhere here. You see, the nice, what is that, like a gazebo or something? They're going into this hall, a great hall of Vikings. And, of course, the ship out there. Very cool stuff. The first thing you're going to notice here, where are we at? 151. Kevin O'Connell walking into the great hall here. You'll see the Timberwolves Brazil on the side. This is the name of a fan who went viral for the Minnesota Timberwolves a ways back. Which is fun. A lot of fans of that whole, story, that whole narrative. We're very excited to see that included in this video. Above the door, you're going to see home of the famous Juicy Lucy. At first, I had no idea what that was referencing. I was like, okay, who's Juicy Lucy? And then upon, further investigation, you find out that's the name of a cheeseburger that they serve out in Minnesota. It's like a cheeseburger stuffed with like a cheese sauce and then covered. It looks, I don't know, it looks pretty good to me. So the Juicy Lucy is a famous burger in Minnesota. Let's go inside the chambers here. I don't know if there's anything else that we missed. Okay, there's a lot happening in this frame. Okay, so bear with me. First off, the Minnesota Wild, you're going to notice on the right side. Let me see if you guys can quite see what it says when I blow it up right here. Kind of a little bit better, right? So on the right side, 8-time quarterfinal runner-up from 2015 to 2025 is a jab at the Minnesota Wild hockey team, okay? The one on the left side that says best record among wildcard teams since 2020 or in 2024 is another jab at the Vikings sucking in the playoffs, okay? To further that, on the left side, you're going to see, the far left side, you're going to see a little poster with what I think is Justin Jefferson. It says dance lessons. Okay, of course, those guys, very elaborate touchdown celebrations. And underneath it says, see you in 2 weeks. I had to look this one up, and then I remembered it as I was like, oh my God, I remember, and they put it in there. So the see you in 2 weeks was said by Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Detroit Lions. He said this after the Lions beat the Vikings in the last regular season game. He said, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks, as, you know, predicting that they are going to beat their wild card game and they're going to end up facing them off, you know, in the next round of the playoffs. Of course, that did not happen. So that's a jab at saying, hey, we thought you were better than you were, but you weren't. And then on the right side, you kind of have to squint to see it. You're going to see a little photo. I recognized it right away because it was something I had photoshopped with a lot, and I even from this far, it's Justin Herbert holding a trophy for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And this is a reference specifically to the Vikings because the next runner-up was Justin Jefferson. A lot of Vikings fans were rubbed the wrong way that Justin Herbert ended up winning it. Y'all can suck it. Justin Herbert forever. And then finally, the last couple of things you'll see are the lion, the bear, and the cheese head above the mantle of the Vikings, you know, taking the heads of their division rivals. All right. Let's go ahead and keep moving on here with Sam Darnold changing teams. Of course, he was a great quarterback for them last year, now changing to the Seattle Seahawks, and he's off. Next up, Tennessee Titans Week 9. You'll notice them going up the steps. These buildings, you know, famous in Greek mythology, the Titans, Olympus. I think we see that kind of every year, you know, in reference to the Titans on these sorts of videos. This was a pretty simple one. They didn't think too hard on it. It's just going to cut to random memes of Will Levis, who got really famous last year for all the shenanigans that he pulled and all the weird stuff that he ended up being captured, you know, and posted on social media. So the Will Levis memes shut down your bandwidth, and we continue on. Next up, Flint and Steelers Mind. I racked my brain as to what that meant. Okay, turns out it's just a Minecraft reference. My kids helped me with that one. Flint and steel is one of the biggest things you look for in the game to make fire, of course. That's what it is. So Flint and Steelers Mind, it's a play on that. Let's move on to what these signs say. So on the left side, it says hours of operation always open. Both of these signs in this image are a jab at George Pickens. Pickens, in a quote, let me see, I actually wrote it down here. In a quote says, when I'm not open, I'm always open. It's something you hear now a lot throughout the community of Steelers fans. And then on the other side, if you blinked, you missed it. It says absolutely no children. Actually, I got to move my butt out of the way real quick. It says absolutely no children right there on the right side. That could be reference to Coach Tomlin saying that George Pickens needs to grow up. And he ended up getting traded after that. So maybe that's what that reference is. That's the best I could do on that one. But the rest of it's pretty self-explanatory and really, really funny. You got the Steelers going into the different tunnel entrances for rebuild or contender. That's obviously a reference to the Steelers never really knowing if it's time to rebuild. They don't have a quarterback. They have other holes. Or if they're just going to go out there and contend again and come up with the same results. So there's two different guys. I assume one of them is the quarterback. Is it Mason Rudolph right now? I don't remember. But they have a bad quarterback. And then maybe that was George Pickens on the other side. But they're going to go on two different mine carts. One contender, one rebuild. They're going to go through the different tunnels. tunnels, and then ultimately those tunnels are going to meet. They're going to end up in the same place anyway. They're going to look at each other, realize that it's the same result. On the right side, you're going to see Coach Tomlin and his very famous "We do not care" quote. And you're going to notice the end of the track here. It says, "Warning, track ends in 9 feet 8 inches." That is, of course, that record of 9 and 8 that the Steelers seemingly always end their season on. Very funny stuff, man. Good jab by the Chargers. They'll fly off the tracks and into the lava. And you guys will notice there on the top section as well, that's Aaron Rodgers, who's been waiting to give his answer for some reason to NFL teams if he's going to be available. He's just watching all of this happen. And I maybe think also this could be a reference to his dark room therapy that he did last season, which was very weird. It made a lot of headlines there. So there's your Steelers flying off the tracks into the lava. Next up, this one, again, they didn't think too hard on this one. They let the cringe speak for itself. This is Liam Cohen. And when he was first introduced, he gave the most cringy Duval. And it was like one of the clips that you saw for a few days on social media, just like, oh, okay, all right. And then later, Travis Hunter got asked to do the same thing. He did a much better job. Duval to the media team there. Next up, bye week 12 for the Chargers. Of course, Chargers fans are going to know this one. That's Justin Herbert in his Oregon Ducks garb. The president of the Sheldon High School Fishing Club is something that he was very proud of. You saw it, I think, as a title for him on some news thing at some point, and since then it's been passed around by Chargers fans as our GOAT, the president of the fishing club. And he's going to come over here, and this one was actually, again, another deep cut. You kind of had to be on social media to remember it. I remember seeing it, but when I started doing research on this, I was like, who are these things? You're going to know some names here in a second of these pigs. Smudge, Krieg, and there was one more here. It's we missed it. Anyway, these pigs, if you guys remember, this wasn't even that long ago. I think it was a few months ago. Justin Herbert showed what he does in the offseason of raising chickens and pigs. And in that image, he did label the pigs that he was raising with these names of Smudge and Krieg. These are the names of his actual pigs that he raises in real life, which I thought was really funny once we uncovered that. And finally in this, you got Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert grilling up. In the sound clip that you guys can't hear, he says, "That's my guy. That's my guy." That sound clip was taken from Justin Herbert's touchdown run in one of those games. You see Coach Harbaugh on the side, like, "That's my guy. That's my guy." It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. All right, moving on. It's gonna be week 13. The Raiders. Okay, now we get a nicer look at the Pop-Tarts reference there in the front. Of course, that's a shout out to Devontae Adams. And this is where one of the favorites parts of this video for Chargers fans. The first image you're gonna see. I actually found this, okay, on social media. There was a weird occurrence where Pete Carroll strangely took off his shirt in an interview with DK Metcalf. I think DK came in to show him he's built, and then all of a sudden, here comes Coach Carroll ripping his shirt off too. It was quite odd. An odd take by him. On the left side of him, you're going to see this QR code. You guys are welcome to click on it now, too. It's going to take you over to a page where you can either reference yourself as a Chargers fan or a Raiders fan. For Chargers fans, it's just going to take you to where buy tickets and stuff, have a good time. For Raiders fans, it's going to take you down a rabbit hole of different links saying, hey, you got to click this link again, you got to click it again, you got to click it again. And it's going to throw some jabs in there as well, ultimately leading to a page that says L, which is pretty funny. It takes a while to get to that L, too, which is pretty great. Moving on here, they're going to show, okay, again, this one was a blink and you'll miss it picture as well. I actually had to backwards search this because I was like, I think I remember this picture, but I don't remember the context. I did remember that being Brock Bowers, but I didn't remember where. So I backwards searched it on Google, and it came up with a whole bunch of memes of people saying this could be the best player in this draft, and they were throwing some jabs at Brock Bowers because he just kind of looks like, you know, a dude. You know, he just looked like a guy. So that's a picture of Brock Bowers at the Combine that was getting passed around social media. Of course, you got the tuck rule Brady there on the left side. On the right side, you got the Roomba, which is a reference to the Raiders Stadium, famously being called the Roomba with its simplicity. This one, again, it took me a second as well because I was like, why are the Panthers here, this and that? This was just an image from the broadcast. If you guys remember when Ashton Genty was selected, the camera panned to him, and because he was so short, the only thing you could see on the frame was his hat. That is what this is referencing. He's a short guy. He got caught into being short on national television. There it is. And it'll quickly be swapped with what I'm guessing, of course, Raiders clowns always. But I'm also guessing this is a reference to last year's schedule release video of the Raiders. If you went to that same QR code at the end, it would give you a link to Clown University where you could become a professional clown. So there you have it. Finally, the Raiders, they got everything set up, and just when they do, they're going to get blown up by a creeper, thus ending a horrible season for them. It says you were blown up by a creeper, score 413, which of course is reference to their record last year of 4-13. Won 4 games, lost 13 games. Hilarious. Moving on to week 14, it's the Eagles. There's a bunch of stuff all over here. I wondered if there was a reference to the bus that I missed, but you're just going to see Save Our Tush Push. Of course, the league is considering banning it, and all Philly fans are saying, no, man, we got to keep this here. So this is their march to save it. Now, there's a lot happening here on this frame. You got the zombie fans pushing to save the tush push, right? You got, if you guys will see in the top, middle section there, it says Jason Kelce cell phone repair. And then when I looked at it a little bit closer, I was like, oh yeah, I do kind of remember that. Jason Kelce got angry and got in an altercation with a fan. He ended up taking it out of his hand and breaking it. So the Jason Kelce cell phone repair, that's what it's referring to. On the top left, you're going to see what says missing podcast P, and now it says found. Okay, this is to reference of a player in basketball, Paul George. He's a Philadelphia basketball player who's a host of a podcast, and it had a lot of hype around it, but he didn't play this year, and he was more known for his podcast. All right, so that's what it's referencing right there, is a Philadelphia podcast. On the right, it says Patty's. Oh man, look that one up. You guys can't see it out here, but barely can kind of see it. It says Patty's. And in the middle on the right side, or I should say on the left side, you're going to see this big guy walking down the street next to Jalen Hurts. This guy is Big Dom, I think. And Big Dom is kind of like a character employee of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's officially the chief security officer of game day coaching operations. But he's kind of become like an icon for Philadelphia Eagles fans. So you ask an Eagles fan who Big Dom is, they'll probably tell you who it is. Another reference here to the city of Philadelphia, you're going to notice in the crowd, we missed it. You're going to notice in the crowd next to the chicken jockey, that's Elmo. There's a guy famous in Philadelphia for dressing up as Elmo. His name is Philly Elmo. You'll catch him on social media everywhere. He's just kind of around when crazy stuff is happening. So there's Philly Elmo in the photo there. And then finally in the front here, I see the shirts, right? I think it says Super Bowl champions or whatever, and it's got the Eagles on it. I honestly, this is when you guys help me out in the comment section. I just see 2 white defensive backs. Is that it? Just the 2 white DBs? Is that the reference? Is that the joke? If so, okay. All right. Moving on to the next one. There's a couple of signs here. I don't know what the Phillies Book of the Year meant still. I still couldn't find reference to that. But the one on the right, if you take a look, it says 94.1 FM. Radio, that's something. You can't quite make it out. But that radio station is actually a real radio station in Philadelphia, the WIP Eagles radio station. So it's an Eagles fan radio station there. Okay, and they're marching up to that building. All right, now week 15. Here come the Chiefs after performing this black magic ritual. They're selling their souls to the devil. I did find one that I actually didn't see a lot of people reference, and I don't know, maybe we're some of the first to drop it here. Okay, and I actually noticed this in the live broadcast too. You guys have noticed some etchings on the stone wall there? There's a couple of things to dissect here. First, you're going to notice a bunch of numbers on the left side. I actually went through the Chiefs' schedule last year, and in their game log, I noticed a bunch of these scores. So I went looking at these particular games, and the one thing that they had in common were that these were the bull crap games that the refs interfered and helped the Chiefs win over and over. And there was a ton of them, right? There's even more on the right side. Since it's from a weird angle, I couldn't quite see what the result was there, but you'll notice is it the 16-14? Actually, let's go over this one. It says the 20-27 score. That was the bullcrap Raiders game that they ended up winning narrowly because of an officiating thing. The 30-27 score there was their narrow win over the Panthers, which again, the ref interference. That's what all of those numbers are. They're scores from games that the refs helped the Chiefs win, which is interesting. And on the right next to it, I thought at first it said Ref TV because of course the refs are helping them win all these games. But no, then it said, we take a look, it says it's a P. It says Rep TV. I didn't know what that meant. I Googled it. Turns out Rep TV is an upcoming Taylor Swift album that has some controversy and conspiracy around it. Again, you guys can look that up yourselves, but that's what that is. And of course, Taylor Swift being the girlfriend of Travis Kelce, there's the connection right there. All right, you got the crazy Chiefs fan there in the costume. These guys are getting ready to go to war, and the rest of it's pretty self-explanatory. You got the Ender Eagle, which of course in Minecraft, the last boss is the Ender Dragon, and then of course they put a play on that. It's the Ender Eagle. Here come the Chiefs trying to take them down, and the Eagles in the Super Bowl would wipe them out. Beautiful, beautiful. Here we go in the week 16. It's the Cowboys. A couple of crazy things here. First off, there's a crazy clip, famous clip, I think there's a few of them actually, of Cowboys fans storming their stadium. And it's because the way they do things at AT&T is a little bonkers. They let the fans kind of swarm in like it's Black Friday to get like cheap seats, mainly standing room only seats. That's what it's referring to. You can find it all over social media. The fans going crazy trying to get these seats. Then we move into the stadium, and there's a couple of things. I'm not a huge basketball fan, so I didn't quite understand what that meant. But where it says karaoke cam, this is a reference to a moment in a Mavs game where they have like, those jumbotrons. They'll cut to different people in the audience, and this one was a karaoke cam. So you're going to sing the song, and they cut to this guy, and he starts saying, "Fire Nico, fire Nico," which is reference to the Mavericks general manager, Nico Harrison. And this was broadcast during a live game. It was shown during the game. He ended up becoming a meme for those guys. And then on the left side, I didn't notice this. You guys have to tell me what's falling from the ceiling. I do remember something falling from the ceiling from an NFL stadium. Was it I thought it was the Texans or something, or the Saints. I thought it was the Saints, but maybe it was the Cowboys. You're going to see a couple more references on the top right, the Micah Parsons podcast, which is something that's become very popular nowadays. But on the left side, you can barely kind of see it. It says defense wins championships. I think that is as a result of that crazy trade that happened not too long ago where they ended up trading everything away for a defensive player. There you go. All right. Next up, moving to this panel here. And this is something that I kind of did notice. There are a couple of different references. One, you'll notice in the very far back, there's a polar bear for whatever reason. You guys can't see because I'm in front of it. Take a look. There's a polar bear on the field. There was a meme not too long ago of a random polar bear in Arlington, Texas that was going around. Everyone was kind of freaking out about it. You'll also notice the windows themselves. It's like a blinding light coming into the stadium. This is something very famous and particular to the Cowboys. They have this window that brings in these sun rays that are famously bothersome for Cowboys players. It's caused a lot of drop balls and bad plays, etc., etc. That's kind of funny that they included it there. I don't know how they did it, but they included it there. And then, of course, you're going to notice with all of the text going on in the bottom, this is DeMarcus Lawrence and his very public beef with Micah Parsons. These are actual tweets or instas that were put out there. When Tank ended up going to the Seattle Seahawks, he had a lot of negative things to say about the Cowboys, and then Micah Parsons stepped up and said, this stuff, this is some clown stuff. They're not going to the Super Bowl there. Yeah, very public. Then finally, at the very last second, you're going to notice George Pickens joined the game. Which, again, very recent. A nod to the team, man. They get these things in at last second. George Pickens getting traded to the Cowboys very recently. That's what the reference is there. All right. Let's move into the Houston Texans game. Here are the Texans. Okay, the first thing you're going to notice are these posters. The first one, I'm kind of going to guess on this one. Stroud kind of popped late versus the Chargers, which kind of sucks for us. The middle poster The Dirty Bubble awarded key to the city. At first, I didn't remember, what the SpongeBob reference was, and then I did remember that Nickelodeon has these broadcasts where SpongeBob and Patrick are the commentators. It's kind of a for kids version of the game. And in one of the broadcasts, the Dirty Bubble ended up picking up Coach Harbaugh and taking him away or something. So that's from a Nickelodeon broadcast reference. And on the right side, it says for sale trash can gently used. I had no idea what that was, but you guys helped me out in the comments of the video. It says here that it's referencing the Houston Astros fans banging on the trash cans to cheat. So basically, they go out and they bang on the trash can. So that's what it's referencing there. The Houston Astros fans. You got Stroud walking into the saloon or something. There's J.J. Watt making his exit there. Nod to the legend Texan. And here's Stroud getting ready to eat. And this one was actually quite interesting. Let me actually make this a little smaller here so you guys can read what it says up there. So it says Saturday Showdown rematch is set. Now this is kind of significant. First off, the Chargers obviously losing to the Houston Texans in that wild card game. That sucked. But as a result of that, there were stories coming out at the time that Khalil Mack was considering retirement after losing to the Texans in that game. Well, in this image, he's back, and he's ready to take on the Houston Texans in this rematch that almost had him made his exit from football, which I thought was very interesting and very cool to see Khalil Mack featured in that way here. All right. And then lastly, is this the last one here? Yeah. So the last game here. Very, very simple stuff. Here's the Justin Herbert and the players bringing in the Broncos to the stables. You're going to notice the windmill over here. And then the top, you have a better view of the restaurant Casa Bonita in view there from South Park. On the top, you're still going to see that statue from the Denver airport. And he's going to be taking him into the stables. And they're going to get a nice overhead view of last season's results. Nice. Double L for the Broncos. I'm going to guess that's as reference to the Chargers sweeping the Broncos last year, handing them 2 L's, putting them in 2 L's. And hopefully doing that again this year. And that's going to do it here, man. A couple of nice little Easter eggs at the end here. You got Coach Harbaugh and the Chargers coming out of the tunnel. Of course, this is Coach Harbaugh's quarterback ritual where he's pounding the chest and the back of his quarterback to get him ready. He said he learned that from a legendary Bears player. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's definitely something that we see every week as Chargers fans. This one I didn't know at first, and then once it was explained, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they put that into this video, because I do remember that. Tariq Stevenson, you guys will remember the Bears almost winning that game versus the Commanders. There was one play left, and Jaden Daniels threw it up on a Hail Mary, and they ended up catching it and winning that game. Well, right before that happened, a Bears player was mocking the fans in a stadium, and literally as the ball is being snapped, he comes out of mocking the fans and ends up giving up the touchdown. One of the biggest cringe moments, I would have to say, of the season the season last year, man. That was crazy. Here comes Josh Allen walking out of the cinema. First off, let me just tell you guys, Sinners is one of the best movies of the year. I've seen it twice. Love that movie. Josh Allen's fiance, Haley, is it Steinfeld? Is that her name? She is one of the stars of this movie. Okay? She does some pretty wonky stuff. She does some suggestive stuff in this movie. And, of course, being the fiance of Josh Allen, whatever your feelings are on that. But Sauce Gardner publicly on social media said that he wasn't going to see the movie out of respect to Josh Allen because of that stuff there. I think everything's fine. She was fantastic in the movie. Movie's really, really good. But that's what they're referencing there is Sinners and Allen and Gardner walking off. This one was crazy. I actually didn't hear about this one, but apparently there was an altercation between Ian Rappaport and Jordan Schultz, beat writers in the NFL, if you're unaware. So kind of news guys. They were at a Starbucks during the Combine, and apparently they got in a scrap. They got in a public argument at a Starbucks before the Combine, which is pretty funny. There they go at it. And then finally, you got the chicken jockey. This is probably the biggest social media thing you've seen from the Minecraft movie. He's going to get in it with Aaron Rodgers. And, of course, that scene on the right is reference to what has been happening at movie theaters across the world during that scene. For whatever reason, people go crazy and destroy the movies by throwing their popcorn, making a huge mess. There it is. All right. But there you have it, Bolt fam. I think that is every reference from the Chargers schedule video release. I hope you guys, a good number of you guys see it. This is not something I did last year because there was just so many references. We just kind of let the reaction video and then you guys in the comments kind of explain everything that was happening. But I got a lot of comments asking me to actually go over it and explain the video frame by frame if necessary to share with you guys all the references that I was able to find that you guys were able to help me find in the comments. And it does just show how much love and care goes into these videos for the social media team, how much research that they have to do for relevant information and tradition and stories from the other teams that we're facing in our schedule this year. So bravo to the team and their creativity, man. As in my eyes, every single year, the Chargers have been the Super Bowl winners of the schedule release video unofficial competition. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you like what you saw here, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty. Man, dude. that could be some crazy ones for the Chiefs, dude, and all that black magic that happened this season. Let's hope the Chargers can break that spell this year.